Well, good day, viewers. Good day, and welcome to Noel's Garden Tractors and Firewood. And today is another nice day, and we're going to do. I've been saying I'm going to tell the story about Kablewie and kind of get that out in the open, I guess, so that everybody knows who Kablewie is and why it's called that. And it's going to be a two-part video. I'll do this quick part today, and I'll finish it off tomorrow, hopefully. So we'll do the quick weather here, and what do we got here? We're 21 degrees so far today, and that is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So we have west-southwest winds at 20 miles an hour, and that would be 32 kilometers an hour. Humidex is 25 Celsius, so I think it's going to be a warm afternoon, I'd say. Supposed to be 25 Celsius, tomorrow 26, and Wednesday 25. And we're back to rain. It was saying there a few days ago, sunshine all them days. But anyway, that's the way it goes. It always changes. And cool temperatures. So yeah, this is just a quick start on a little story on Kablewie. Now Kablewie is a Jacobson tractor from the factory. All these LGT tractors that are Fords are all made by Jacobson. Now this Ford tractor here with the nice tarp, as some people call it, you will not find any orange paint on there. It was factory Ford right from when it was made, but Jacobson made it. Kablewie does have orange paint on it. So somebody over time painted it blue to make it a Ford tractor. But anyway, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. They're both the same tractor. One's just called a Jacobson and one's called a Ford, and they have all the same, basically all the same things on them. So the one thing I want to point out here today is this tractor is a snow thrower. It has a 50-inch mowing deck and a 36-inch tiller for the rear, and we basically only use it with the snow thrower on it anymore. So it does have 16 horsepower Kohler K341 engine in it, which is what it's supposed to have in it. Now, the one thing that's a little different between this tractor and Kablewie, and this is an option I haven't seen too often. So down here on the control panel, you can see here front hydraulic ports. Get that all cleaned up for you. So you can see that is not cut out. So there is no hydraulic ports on this tractor. So when we get to see Kablewie tomorrow, hopefully, you'll see that this is cut out and that there's a handle here. And it has the hydraulic ports in the front, which I think is a fairly rare option. And I think only Jacobson's had that, but I'm not sure on that for sure. This does have the factory hour meter. There's a few things that the 16 horsepower tractor had over the 10, 12, and 14 horsepower tractors. They all look the same, but just different horsepower engines. Like I say, this one has the factory hour meter, and it has a 5-gallon fuel tank instead of a 3, an adjustable seat. You have a handle over there that you can slide the seat ahead and back. And there was a couple of other things, and I just can't remember now, but that the 16 horsepower tractor had that the 14, 12, and 10 didn't have. So anyway, when we get to see Kablewie tomorrow, or hopefully tomorrow, I'll give you an overview of it and how we got it and what we got with it and all the troubles we had and all that kind of stuff. So that's the start of the video. Tomorrow or whenever, I'll do the rest of the Kablewie story. All right, I'll get back to you. Well, good morning, and welcome to Noel's Garden Tractors and Firewood. And today, we're at my son's place, and we're going to do the story on the Ford LGT garden tractor named Kablewie. We'll try and do a little overview of what's what with it, when I got it, and what I got with it, and what's gone on with it over the years, and why it is called Kablewie. Now, I've done some of this before, but I'm kind of want to do as most of complete story as I can, just for the people that don't know about it and wonder what Kablewie is when I mention it. And I suppose some of the new subscribers wouldn't know that. So anyway, my son's been kind of playing away here at his tractors. These are MF7s and 8s, and this has been going on for quite a few years now. He's been wanting to make a go-kart, so it looks like he's got it painted up here. So and he's going to, the engine is going to have a bigger pulley in it to make it go faster. He's got the axle flipped upside down, so it'll sit lower. And I can't remember if he did something with the back or not. I don't know. Anyway, and this one here is an MF8, actually. I think an 8 or a 7. I can't remember now. But anyway, it's a hydro. It's a hydro. So that's a different kind of a thing. He's always wanted one of those for years. And years he's wanted one of those. Just to compare to our MF7, that is a manual transmission like it would be in that one over there. You can see the gear shift. Anyway, he's been at it a little bit here, so finding stuff and figuring out what he's going to do. And yeah, so anyway, that's what he's up to. Now, like I said on Sunday chat, the case 446 may come here for the winter, and I'm kind of leaning towards that more a little bit, I guess. So if I can get the blower off of it, I'll take the case over here, and if the weather is kind of reasonable, I can still maybe get to use it to play with, or work with, I should say, to pull some trees out of the woods maybe. So that's part of my plan too, I guess. That's what I've been wanting to do with it. It's fun to use in the wintertime too. But anyway, we gotta, and like I say, we were gonna maybe make a loader for it, and I do want to make a sleeve hitch for the rear part of it. So, with no further ado, we go out here and have a look at Kablewie. There is Kablewie. So Kablewie, any Ford tractor, LGT, or even the ones before the LGTs, up until about 83, I think, were all made by Jacobsen. but a lot of them were branded Fords. They were painted Fords and sold as Fords and all that stuff. And it's no different than other stuff like there's numerous tractors on the go that are made by different manufacturers that aren't the like Ford. This is made by Jacobsen, or some John Deere tractors are made by Yanbar. So you just don't know. But this is a Jacobsen, and it was a Jacobsen from the factory, as you can see by the orange paint. And the decal down here, if I can get to it, if I have to clean it off maybe. It says Home Light Dextron. Which I'm not sure how that works in with Jacobsen, but it was Jacobsen as far as I know. So that serial number and tag I got looking years ago when we first bought this tractor. I believe it's a 1987 tractor. And the Ford tractors like that, like the one I have at home with the tarp over it, as some people call it, the last year they made those, or the last year Jacobsen made those Fords was in 1983. So this is an 87 as far as I know. Anyway, somebody painted it blue. And this tractor should have come with a 16 horsepower engine. And because it has an original hour meter which works, and it has the sliding seat, and it has the 5-gallon gas tank. And there was a couple other options, I just can't quite remember now what they were for the higher horsepower tractor. Anyway, like I was mentioning in my first clip here, something you don't see on these tractors too often is this front port option. Front hydraulic ports. So whatever way you hook things up, to be up or down or up or down, up, or whatever way you want to hook up your lines. But anyway, this tractor has that. That's kind of neat. And I can't say that I've seen it on too many tractors. Now, I did see a Jacobsen tractor, same as this, for sale. I think it was in Nova Scotia. And it was in really nice shape. Really nice shape. It had the 50-inch deck, as far as I know. It had the hour meter. And from what I could see out of the pictures, it would have been a 16 horsepower tractor. And it had the front hydraulic ports on it. So I kind of think it was a Jacobsen thing more so than a Ford option, I think. Just a guess. So anyway, the history on Kablewie here. We probably bought this tractor 10 to 12 years ago, I think. And it came with, I'll go back here for a minute. It came with those discs, if you had seen that, or seen the discs on the back of it. But anyway, it came with a set of tandem discs on it. It also came with this snowplow that is on the MF-14 bulldozer. That's where the plow came from. It came with Kablewie. Now, two 50-inch decks came with it, and closed-sided LGT 100 tractor that was kind of beat up and messed up or whatever. Good for parts. It also came with three engines, I think. Two engines weren't necessarily out of a Ford or Jacobson tractor, but one of them was. Two of the engines were 14 horsepower engines, but they had the short crankshaft on them. The engine that's in this tractor is a 10 horsepower tractor. Now, this 10 horsepower tractor came, like I say, with the deal when we bought this tractor. And at the time when I bought it, it wouldn't turn over. It only goes so far and clunk, and go so far the other way and go clunk. And so I just figured the engine was no good. But it had been sitting here ever since we bought the tractor. Now the other tractor at home with the tarp over it, as some people call it, needed a starter one time, so I took the starter off of that 10 horsepower engine, and it's been on the other tractor ever since and working good. So again, the engine just sat. So we'll get on to the 10 horsepower tractor again here in a few minutes. So when we bought this tractor, it had a 12 horsepower engine in it. So we used it for I don't know how long. And I was cutting grass with it one day, and all of a sudden it just quit. And I thought, holy cats, that's kind of strange. It just quit. There was no noise, no nothing. And when we went to turn it over, there was no compression. So that kind of indicates the rod broke, but like I say, there was no noise from the rod breaking. Anyway, took the engine apart. The cylinder, or the piston, broke in half at the oil ring groove. So the bottom half was going up and down, and the top half was moving. So that's why she quit. So anyway, another engine that came with this, now that I think of it, there was another 14 horsepower engine that came with this deal. So that's 4 engines, I guess. So my son and I took that and took it apart and looked at it and thought, well, it looks like it's good enough to run. So we put it all back together the way we took it apart and put it in the tractor. And sure enough, run pretty good. And all of a sudden, the rod broke in it. So there we go. Now that engine failure was our own fault. Well, I have to say it's our own fault. But at that point, we really didn't know much about rebuilding these engines. And when you put the rod in one of those engines, it has to go, the hole for the lubrication on the rod to the crank has to go towards the cam shaft. And it was backwards. But it was like that when we took it apart, so we put it back in the same way. Now, if we had been thinking, I guess, or should have looked or whatever, but we didn't. We didn't know. So that was a lesson learned. So you got to put the oil hole in the rod towards the camshaft when you put it together. So that's the way it gets lubricated. If it's in the other way, it doesn't get lubricated. So anyway, so that engine was done. So that's 2 engines. So at that point, we had fixed up the 12 engine again, put a piston in it, and put it back in the tractor. So along we went, and so far and so forth. And this tractor also has a snow blower, which I bought separately. So we blew snow with it too. So when my son was using it here one winter, 2, maybe 3 years ago, sure enough, the 12 horsepower engine blows up. The rod breaks. and it was put together properly. Anyway, that's the way that goes. So that's the third engine. So the 14 engine that blew up, I tried to fix it, and I did fix it, and I should have known better, but another mistake on my part. I didn't clean the block had sat around for a while, so there was some rust in the block. And when we got it put into the tractor and we started it up for break-in, it was running fine. All of a sudden we could hear noise, so took it apart, and here the rod was loose. So what happened, I think, was the rust got into the oil, and the oil and the rust into the rod and ruined the rod. It would have just flew apart if we had left it running. But we did do the 20-minute break-in on it, and it was running great. So anyway, there's another engine gone, and my fault, of course. So this is how this tractor got the name Kablewie. All the engines went Kablewie. Anyway, but it's a great tractor. When it was running, it works good, it steers easy, it drives nice, and it was kind of a shame that the thing was sitting half of its life, but anyway. So on to the 10 horsepower engine. So last winter I took that apart to see what was wrong with it, thinking that the rod was broken. So I took the flywheel cover off, and here inside the flywheel cover was a bunch of the carburetor linkage parts. So I took all that stuff out, and sure enough it turned over. Didn't have any compression, but it turned over. I said, well, the rod's not broke. So what had happened was that the exhaust valve was stuck. So I unstuck the valve, I put the engine all back together. I had to find different pieces because we were taking pieces off and stuff, so I had to get a carburetor and I had to get a starter, and the people that had it before me had pieces off of it too, so I had extra stuff of that, and got all back together, put it on the bench, started it up. Geez, run pretty good, so ran it in different times, the charging worked, and everything worked on it. So I thought, well, we'll put it in this tractor. So some time passed before we got to do that. So then we got the engine into the tractor, and everything worked fine, and we were driving the tractor around and everything, so that was good. So then the next project was go to the parade with it down at Dundas Plough Match. So that's about 3 weeks ago. So I had the tandem discs on, and I put it in the parade. So about a 2-mile trip to get to the staging area for the parade. So drove along at full throttle, full hydro, and worked good. If it was going to blow up, it would have blown up then. So anyway, then we went through the parade and used it and stuff, and everything seemed to be fine. It starts good and runs good. So then I thought, well, I'll get the mowing deck on it. Now this is a 50-inch mowing deck, and it's only a 10 horsepower engine. So I kind of thought at the time that it should work, but it may not work. So, and that's just what it did. When we put the deck on it, light dry grass, I had no problem kind of going around it, laboring a bit, but it did cut the grass. But you get into anything that's kind of, week or 2 week long grass and it was wet, it just didn't have the power to run it. So on to another thought. Get an engine, which I can't get. I've been looking for 16 horsepower engines, and they just don't seem to be available. And I can understand why, the things are 40 to 50 years old. Then I thought, well, a 42-inch deck would be good, because the 10 horsepower tractors came with a 42-inch deck. So I have 42-inch decks, but they are not in very good shape. And so kind of wanting to use what I had here, on to the next thought. Change the gearing ratio from the drive so that it'll run the deck. Now, I've done this before a couple of times on different snow throwers and blowers that I have, and it works pretty good. So on the drive deck, on the deck itself, the drive pulley that's in the middle, that the belt from the engine goes to, was a 6-inch pulley. So I took it off, I got a 7-inch pulley, made it fit, and put it on, and it works great. No problem running the deck now in the wet grass or long grass or whatever. So gearing makes quite a difference on how things work. And anybody that's into cars knows that you change the rear end differential gears on a car, it can make quite a difference in how it performs. So that's basically what I did with this, and I've cut grass with it 3 or 4 times now since then, and works great. So far, she's going along pretty good. So that's kind of the lowdown on on Kablewie. So I think that's about all I've got on that. And maybe when we bought it, there might have been some other miscellaneous things came with it, but I can't remember those. One thing that these tractors have, like this one and the one I have home that's under the tarp, they have an automatic locking rear differential. So if you get into the needing some push, it'll push, that's for sure. Tractor empty with no attachments, weighs 850 pounds. So it's a substantial weight for a garden tractor. I don't know what the deck weighs, but I wouldn't doubt they're at least 150 pounds. So she's sitting at about 1,000 pounds right there, the way she sits. And we have the 3 rib tires on the front and the ag tires on the back. It's a great working old tractor, that. Now the snow blower we have for the front of it, I made a thing for the top chute deflector that hooks to those 2 hydraulic ports. So it has a cylinder there, so you can tip the deflector up and down in a quick hurry. So there, hopefully that kind of gives you an overview of Kablewie, and it's a great old tractor. All right, so today, what am I going to do today? I'm hoping to move some of that wood over there. Some of that softwood is going to go down in behind the garage here. My trailer may get a load of softwood, hardwood, and Fiona wood put on it. And we'll just see how things go along here. As you can see, I think I'll zoom in maybe. As you can see in that trailer, there's a Honda engine in there. Nobody has come to get that yet. It's free. And there's a Massey Ferguson tiller down in the back that doesn't fit any of my tiller or my tractors. So somebody can have it. It's a 3650 model, free. And there's a 3-wheeled thing back there they use around on a golf course to do work in the sand traps. I think that's what it's for. It's free. Come and get it. I think I've shown them before on videos. So anyhow, I kind of think I might have somebody. He says he's not interested, but he might be interested, I think. Oh dear. Anyway, that's what's going on today. There's the story of the Ford LGT garden tractor named Kablewie. All right, I got to get going to get doing something. So goodbye now. day again, viewers. I'm back. I just kind of wanted to verify. I said tarp over the tractor there. I just want to verify to most people that may not know that the tarp is actually a cab. So there's a fellow that thinks that cabs are tarps. So I just want to verify that. Anyway, there's 2 cruise ships in today. They're kind of, this fellow here at the front, he was in last week. So they're kind of big ones. One's bigger than the other, I guess there was 2 in yesterday, but I wasn't over to my son's yesterday, so I didn't get to see them. Sorry about all the traffic, but that's the way it goes here. All right. Well, chat later. Bye.